Today we are going to tell you about Escape and Chase, but before, don't forget to like and share. Stay with movies. Presentation of the city of Osasco, located in the western zone of Sao Paulo. Description of the increase in crime and drug trafficking in the region. Introduction of the main character, Niru, the police officer in charge of the investigation, and the beginning of the operation. Intelligence and operation planning. Niru receives information about a local drug dealer known as Nene. Planning the reconnaissance of the location before the police action. Team meeting to align the details of the approach and division of responsibilities. Infiltration and reconnaissance. Surveillance and observation. Niru's team conducts discreet surveillance in the area to map drug trafficking movements. Observation of Nene's actions and other suspects, as well as the house that possibly serves as a drug dealing spot. First, obstacles. Difficulties during observation, such as the presence of lookouts and the risk of being discovered. Need to retreat and adjust the approach strategy. Nene's past. Nene's criminal history. Detailed explanation of Nene's previous encounters with the police, including cargo theft and drug trafficking. Nene's relationship with his family and how his brothers were also involved in crime. Evolution in crime. How Nene rose in the local drug trade, becoming an influential figure in the region. His relationship with other traffickers and the expansion of the drug business. Approach and arrest. The police action. Niru's team decides to make their move, surrounding Nene's house. Nene initially denies involvement in the drug trade but cooperates with the police, allowing them into his house. First discoveries. Inside the house, the police find expensive televisions, a high-end refrigerator, and other items that do not match Nene's income. Niru senses that something is wrong and decides to conduct a deeper search. The discovery of drugs. The hideout. During the search, Niru and his team find a significant amount of drugs hidden in the house. Discovery of precision scales, packaging materials, and tools used to prepare and distribute the drugs. Nene's reaction. Nene initially denies everything but then begins to confess parts of his operations, explaining that he also had weapons and money on the premises. Chapter 6. The revelation of the weapons and money. Discovery of the weapons. The police find 2 hidden firearms, both with their serial numbers filed off. The team realizes that Nene was prepared to defend himself from rivals or the police. The money and drug accounting. During the search, the police also find 14,000 reais in cash.
Hey you who are watching a movie. I see that you didn't leave your like and didn't subscribe to the channel. Give me this strength for me to bring more content to you. Thank you.
As well as checks totaling over 50,000 reais. Nene reveals that these checks are the result of previous crimes, including thefts and robberies. Reflection on a life of crime. The family relationship. Niru confronts Nene about how he endangers his family, especially his young son who lives in the house. Reflection on the impact of crime on family life and the future of the children involved. The Rhoda and involvement with crime. The constant presence of Rhoda, Sao Paulo's special police patrol, in the area and the fear it instills in residents. How criminals' lawyers are always on standby when a prison is imminent, showing the organization behind crime. Concluded action and follow-up. Operation conclusion. After the seizure of drugs, weapons, and money, Nene is taken into custody and brought to the police station. Description of police procedures, including the logging of seized materials and Nene's interrogation. Impact on the community. How Nene's arrest temporarily affects the local drug trade and the community's sense of security. The police team reflects on the success of the operation but acknowledges that the drug problem remains unsolved. Behind the investigation. Partnership with intelligence. How the operation connected with other ongoing investigations on drug trafficking in the region. Discussion between Neeru and his superiors about the importance of collaboration with other police forces. New leads and connections. The seizure of documents and drug ledgers provides new leads on other people involved in the drug trade. Neeru begins to map out a broader criminal network. The future of the fight against drug trafficking. Next steps. Neeru and his team discuss the next steps to continue combating drug trafficking in the region. Reflections on the ongoing challenge that drug trafficking represents, even after successful operations. The moral dilemma. Neeru reflects on the social conditions that lead to crime and how police operations, while necessary, do not always address the root of the problem. The future of Usasku and the fight against drug trafficking remains uncertain, but the team remains committed. Conclusion. The operation in Usasku was just one battle in a much larger war against drug trafficking. Despite the success, Nene's arrest is only the beginning of a series of new investigations that Neeru and his team must pursue. Drug trafficking continues to cast a persistent shadow over the city, but each action taken brings hope for change behind the investigation. Partnership with intelligence. How the operation connected with other ongoing investigations on drug trafficking in the region. Discussion between Neeru and his superiors about the importance of collaboration with other police forces. New leads and connections. The seizure of documents and drug ledgers provides new leads on other people involved in the drug trade. Neeru begins to map out a broader criminal network. The future of the fight against drug trafficking. Next steps. Neeru and his team discuss the next steps to continue combating drug trafficking in the region. Reflections on the ongoing challenge that drug trafficking represents, even after successful operations. The moral dilemma. Neeru reflects on the social conditions that lead to crime and how police operations, while necessary, do not always address the root of the problem. The future of Usasku and the fight against drug trafficking remains uncertain, but the team remains committed. Conclusion. The operation in Usasku was just one battle in a much larger war against drug trafficking. Despite the success, Nene's arrest is only the beginning of a series of new investigations that Neeru and his team must pursue. Drug trafficking continues to cast a persistent shadow over the city, but each action taken brings hope for change, the future of the fight against drug trafficking. Evolving strategies. In the aftermath of Nene's arrest, Neeru and his team recognize that the battle against drug trafficking is far from over. Criminal networks are resilient, and new leaders often emerge to fill the vacuum left by arrests. Neeru organizes meetings with other law enforcement agencies to discuss long-term strategies. These include not only reactive policing but also proactive measures, such as intelligence gathering and working closely with community leaders to address the root causes of crime. Collaboration with the community. Neeru's experience in the field has shown that while police operations are crucial, the community plays an equally important role in sustaining change. He advocates for increased collaboration with local residents to build trust and encourage them to report suspicious activities without fear of retaliation. Social programs begin to take shape in Usasku, aiming to provide alternatives to youth who are vulnerable to recruitment by drug gangs. Neeru, understanding the importance of breaking the cycle of crime, supports initiatives such as education, job training, and drug rehabilitation programs. The psychological toll on law enforcement. Neeru starts to reflect on the psychological toll that the fight against drug trafficking has on him and his team. Constant exposure to violence, danger, and the harsh realities of life in the criminal underworld begins to weigh on them. The narrative explores how Neeru deals with these challenges, balancing his sense of duty with the emotional strain of seeing the same neighborhoods torn apart repeatedly by crime. The thin line between justice and morality. As Neeru delves deeper into the operations of the drug cartel, he starts to confront moral dilemmas. He encounters situations where the line between right and wrong becomes blurred, particularly when dealing with informants or families affected by the criminal activities of their loved ones. His reflections raise questions about the broader justice system. Is punishing individuals like Nene enough to make a real difference? How can law enforcement address the underlying poverty, lack of opportunities, and systemic issues that contribute to the rise of such criminals? New criminal networks emerge. Despite Nene's incarceration, the investigation reveals that drug trafficking in Usasku is deeply entrenched in the socioeconomic fabric of the region. New players quickly step in to take his place, highlighting the complexity of dismantling such networks. Niru and his team discover that Nene's operation was connected to a larger, more sophisticated drug cartel that extends beyond Usasku, with links to international drug routes. This revelation sets the stage for future investigations, expanding the scope of their fight beyond just the local community. Conclusion: hope and uncertainty. As the story concludes, Niru reflects on the long-term impact of his work. While his efforts have led to significant arrests and disrupted local trafficking operations, he acknowledges that the fight is ongoing. The narrative ends on a note of cautious optimism. Despite the challenges, Niru remains committed to protecting his community. He recognizes that while his actions may not solve the larger societal issues, each arrest and each operation brings a glimmer of hope for a safer future for Usasku.